I'd like to call the Finance, Ways, and Means Committee to order for April 6, 2021. Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Representatives Campbell, Camper, Crawford, Faison, Freeman, Gant, Garrett, Gillespie, Hawk, Hicks, Lamar, Lambert, Lynn, Miller, Ogles, Sexton, Shaw, Sparks, Todd, Whitson, Williams, Wendell, Zachary, Vice Chairman Baum, Chairman Hazelwood. Madam
Here.
Chairman, you have a quorum.
Clerk, are there any personal orders or announcements before we get started? Seeing none, we have 18 bills on our calendar today. We will start with item number 1, which seems a good place to start, and that is House Bill 1082 by Chairman Carr.
Thank you,
Chairman
Madam
Carr, you're
Chair.
recognized, and you have a motion and a second.
Thank you, ma'am. This bill here, all it does is a couple years back, we gave the higher education universities the ability to apply for a liquor license. And all this does is add to that particular law and private institutions.
Are there any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're voting on House Bill 1082. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
If you'd like to be recorded as a no, please see the clerk. The ayes have it. House Bill 1082 moves to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Chairman and committee.
Next on our calendar is House Bill 531 by Chairman Helton. As soon as we get the cleaning process completed, we have a motion and a second. Chairman Helton, please share with us what your bill does.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. This is a TCRS housekeeping bill. Sections 1 and 4 of the bill amend current law to reflect that federal law recently changed the required minimum distribution age from 70 and a half to 72. Section 2 of the bill adds language back that was inadvertently deleted in a prior bill. It's cleanup change only. Section 3 amends current law to provide more guidance to political subdivisions joining the hybrid plan as to setting the maximum unfunded liability. This section provides that the maximum unfunded liability may be no greater than 20% of the political subdivision's total pension liability. Section 5 of the bill amends current law to reflect longstanding TCRS practice as to prior service established near the date of retirement. The section provides that for prior service established 30 days or more following the date of retirement, a second benefit is calculated. Section 6 amends current law to clarify that when members elect to pay for prior service in monthly installments, the payment period may not exceed the length of service being established.
Thank you for that explanation, Chairman. Are there questions of the sponsor? Seeing none, we'll be voting on House Bill 531. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 531 moves to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members.
Item number 3 on our calendar is House Bill 191 by Chairman Halsey. Chairman Halsey, you have a motion and a second. You're recognized.
Thank you, Chair Lady and committee. This has an amendment that makes the bill.
And the drafting code I have is 006038. Does that match yours?
That's correct, yes.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the amendment. All in favor of Amendment 6038, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The amendment is hereby attached, and I believe, Chairman, that you said this makes your bill, so would you please explain the bill as amended?
Thank you. Working with the Department of Revenue, helped draft this amendment. The bill allows a Tennessee headquartered company that has invested over $1 billion in its capital, who has not elected to adopt the single sales factor formula, to be allowed at the discretion of the Commissioner of Revenue and the Commissioner EDC to use industrial machinery credits up to 100% at no cost to the state.
All right, you've heard the sponsor's explanation. Questions? I believe Chairman Williams, you have a question?
Just a point of clarification, Representative Halsey. I noticed the $1 billion price tag on this. This doesn't have anything to do with one of your gold bills, does it?
Well, I haven't asked them to invest in that yet, but that might be the next step.
Thank you, Representative Halsey.
Are there any real questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're voting on House Bill 191 as amended. Moving on to calendar and rules. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Mr. Chairman, you move on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Chair and committee.
Item number 4 on our calendar is House Bill 768 by Chairman Littleton. We have a motion and a second. And Chairman Littleton, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. House Bill 768 makes significant revisions to the Child Care Quality Rating Improvement System, the mechanisms for conducting quality assessment of child care providers, the Child Care Report Card, and the Child Care Rated Licensing System.
All right, we have a motion and a second, or is there discussion? Are there any questions for the sponsor? Questions been called on the bill? Any objection? Seeing none, we're voting on House Bill 768. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 768 moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Chairman and committee.
Thank you. The next item is House Bill 539 by Chairman Powers. We have a motion and a second, but we do have an amendment on this bill that I believe we need to add. Chairman Powers, the amendment I show is 5801.
I think that is correct. Yes, that is correct. Yes.
All right, do we have a motion on the amendment? We have a motion and a second on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment 5801 going on to the bill, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. 5801 is hereby attached. Chairman Powers, please explain the bill as we have just amended it.
Okay, and there is I'm sorry, there's not another amendment. That was the only one. House Bill 539, it authorizes dealers whose sales and use tax liability for 12 consecutive months have averaged $1,000 or less per month to file returns. I'm sorry, just one moment, please. I thought there was another amendment that we filed. I want to make sure I get it in the proper posture here. No, that's the only one. Sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I believe that the amendment actually moves that to $1,000.
That's right. It goes from 500 to 1,000. That's correct. Sorry.
Okay.
And currently, only dealers averaging $200 or less may file quarterly. So this raises that threshold to $1,000. And with that, Chair Lady, I will be glad to answer any questions and renew my motion.
Are there questions of the sponsor? Seeing none, Mr. Chairman, thank you for bringing this bill. I think this will be helpful to, small vendors and
Thank you.
just be less irritation for them.
It is, yes. It's going to be a big help to very small companies that get to do that. And I've had a lot of good positive feedback on it and no physical note. So I'm very, very happy about that too.
We're happy about that too.
I bet.
All right, we are voting on House Bill 539 as amended. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 539 moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee.
Item number 6 on the calendar is House Bill 142. I see Chairman Terry has joined us. So Chairman Terry, you're recognized. We have a motion and a second. There's also an amendment, I believe, to be added to this bill, Chairman Terry.
Yes, thank you. There is a friendly amendment. Let me find the drafting code 6519. That's requested by the Tennessee Coalition for Open Government, and it will ensure that our confidentiality provision does not apply to operational records that are not part of an investigation.
All right, you've heard the explanation of the amendment. Are there questions on the amendment? Okay, we're voting on amendment drafting code 6519 being added to the bill. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The amendment is attached. And now, Chairman Terry, if you could tell us what the bill in its entirety does.
All right, thank you. This is the TANF Opportunity Act. That is a collaborative piece of legislation between the administration, DHS, Commissioner Carter, and the TANF Working Group put forth by Lieutenant Governor McNally and Speaker Sexton. All of the spending in the bill is accounted for through our annual TANF Block Grant Award or TANF awards from previous years, all of which have been appropriated to the DHS through the Appropriations Act. The expenses created by the bill can be absorbed by DHS with our TANF funds, and there are no state dollars.
And we do have a funding letter
Yes,
to
thank you.
that effect. Are there questions? Leader Camper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Chairman, did you say that this bill was a result of the TANF study group or task force that got together and looked at the TANF funds and that was in reserve? Or is there any relation to this bill in that work group?
Chairman Terry.
Thank you. We never got back together to officially vote on that, but it was a collaborative piece from the members that were on there. Some of the ideas from Representative Love, from Representative Hawk, Chairman Hawk, from me, from Smith, from the Senate, Senator Watson. So it's been a collaborative piece of all of us.
Leader Camper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. But it took in some of the things that the task force was concerned about, or the working group was concerned about and wanted to be addressed and that the funds would be used for. Is that correct, Mr. Sponsor?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
Chairman Hawk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And to attest to the answer Chairman Terry just gave, yes, there were broad inputs from all of us on the committee who are still serving in the legislature that were on that TANF task force. So it is definitely a compilation of good works of the chairman of the task force through the Senate, through the governor's office, in this House of Representatives. So it is truly a collaborative work that's going to help strengthen our families. This is going to go a long way. It's going to give our communities an opportunity to reinvest and reinvigorate some programs that they have going. And this is a win-win situation. So I applaud Chairman Terry for his work and the administration for the work that they've done, along with all of us on the task force. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Representative Shaw.
Thank you, Chairman, for bringing the bill. But explain to me, once it's passed, will the committee go back and do anything, or will everything be ready to move after we get this through the system, or do the committee have to go back and make rules and laws? I'm not for sure.
Chairman,
Chair.
thank you. Are you speaking of the working group or?
Yes.
No, the working group, we would not be reconvening for this, but there are some rules, I think it's from GovOps, that would have to be promulgated from this. And so that would have to occur, but the working group, no.
Okay, thank you.
Are there other questions? Representative Miller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Chairman, could you explain to me the 21-member advisory committee, how they are elected, and what will be their responsibilities when it comes to determining what groups and organizations will receive grant awards?
Can you repeat that question, please? I'm find my notes here. And if I need to go out of session, I have DHS that can answer these questions for us, but
Chairman Terry, do you want to?
yeah, let's go out of session.
All right. Is there any objection? Seeing none, we're out of session, and we would ask the administration come forward, your department. And we have Suzanne Carr with us, I believe. If you would just identify yourself and your title for the record.
Yes, Madam Chairman. I'm Suzanne Carr with the Tennessee Department of Human Services. So Representative Miller, the 21-member advisory board, some of that membership, the commissioners are specified which commissioner designee. Other members are appointed by the speakers of either the Senate or the House of Representatives or the Commissioner of Human Services. And so their duties going forward will be to select the research partner for the Opportunity Pilot Program, select the grantees for the Opportunity Pilot Program, and then advise in an ongoing capacity.
Representative Miller.
Thank you for that. I'm reading now, and I'm not sure if it was in the amendment, but it increases fines from between 1,000 and 5,000, between 2,500 and 10,000. I guess the question is, are we going from $1,000 to $5,000 penalty for fraudulent? If an individual would try to obtain, let's say, food assistance of $100 or more, under those circumstances, we would be fining them $5,000? Is that, how am I understanding that?
Ms. Carr.
Yes, Representative Miller. So those are the ranges for the fines. And yes, these are civil penalties for those bad actors who use false identities to gain benefits and not actually people who qualify for the benefits.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Are there other questions while we're out of session? Leader Camper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Question on the rainy day fund for this, for TANF. Can you talk about what those maximums are? You know, is that included in the bill?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Ms. Carr?
Yes, Leader Camper. So the rainy day fund set by the bill is 191 million. That is equal to the annual block grant award that we get annually from the federal government. We and members of the working group felt comfortable that that was an amount that would sustain us if Tennessee did hit an economic downturn similar to the 2008 post those years recession. We overspent our annual award during those times, but not by that much. So we feel that 191 is an appropriate number.
Leader Camper?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for that answer. Are there any triggers in here that would alert the body if we begin to see this rainy day fund start to creep up again like it did to get over the $700 million?
Ms. Carr?
Yes, so actually the bill does specify that any of the unspent annual awards, so whatever we don't spend of that 191 million a year, is then converted into community grants that are spread proportionally across the state, across the counties, in relation to the proportion of children in poverty. So there is a mechanism to prevent that buildup from ever happening.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Are there
Thank
any
you.
additional questions? Seeing none, we're back in session. Are there additional questions for our sponsor? All right, seeing none, we'll be voting on House Bill 142. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 142 moves on to calendar and rules, and I too, Chairman Terry, would like to thank you and the group that worked on this. It's incredibly important to a lot of Tennesseans, so we appreciate what's been done.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee. Thank you.
We are now on number 7, House Bill 201 by Representative Alexander. Representative Alexander, you're recognized. We have a motion and a second.
Thank you,
And if you
Chairman.
please let us know about your legislation.
Sure. Thank you, Chairman. The bill I bring before you is the one that would authorize the sale of alcoholic beverages on the premises of 5 locations in historical Jonesboro. It's the historical Jackson Theater, the Jonesboro Repertory Theater, the International Storytelling Center, the McKinney Center, and the Jonesboro Visitor Center.
All right, you've heard the explanation. Are there questions of the sponsor? Seeing none, we're voting on House Bill 201. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. The ayes have it. If you'd like to be recorded as a no, please see the clerk. Item number 8 is House Bill 682 by Representative Beck. Representative Beck, you do have a motion and a second. If
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Share with us your bill.
I have a amendment riding along, coded 3820.
That motion, that amendment is already traveling with the bill. We don't have to add it here.
Great. Thank you, Madam Chair. This is my bill to, for the crown jewel of the 51st District, the Mother Church of Country Music, Ryman Auditorium. Presently, it's a historical, classified as a historical performing arts center by the ABC from the 90s. When we renovated in 2015, we added Cafe Lula's in the back, which can only serve during a performance. This would allow them to serve while there are no performances going on in the Ryman, and also if for special events to rope off part of the plaza and the parking lot for special events. And it has a positive physical note. I would ask for your approval. Thank you.
Can you share with us why it's called Cafe Lula's? And I'll test you because I know.
Yes. Lula was the booking agent for the Ryman for years and years, one of the first female booking agents in the business. And she brought in all the performances and booked them for the Opry for, I forget how many years, Madam Chair Lady.
Well, we have an expert among us that could answer that, but we'll just, I think it was over 40 or some number like that, I was told. We do have a question. Chairman Wendell. Okay, we have, any other questions? We are voting on House Bill 682. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
The ayes have it. Please get with the clerk if you'd like to be recorded as a no.
Thank you, Madam Chair Lady and committee. Sir.
Oh, did I forget? And your bill, Representative Beckett, does go to calendar and rules. I may have neglected to mention that. Item number 9 on our calendar. Members, if we could. Item number 9 by Representative Campbell. We have a motion and a second. Representative Campbell, please share with us the merits of your fine legislation.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. House Bill 699 authorizes a Johnson County General Sessions judge to be full-time. The present judge is a part-time position, and this would be, of course, if the County Commission authorizes this by a 2/3 majority by resolution.
So it is permissive, therefore no fiscal implications for the state.
Correct.
Are there questions of Representative Campbell? Questions been called on the bill? Any objections? Seeing none, voting on House Bill 699. Oh, I'm sorry, got ahead of myself. I knew you were going to say aye. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 699 moves on to calendar and rules. Item number 10, House Bill 404, Representative Carringer. We have a motion and a second. Representative Carringer, please explain your legislation.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and to all the members. I bring to you House Bill 404. And this legislation is brought to me by Secretary of State's office and primarily relates to the regional library boards. In 1950, in Tennessee, previously these boards were actively governed by the Regional Library of Offices. And however, in 1995, the employees of the regional offices became state employees as part of the Secretary of State's office. So since then, our regional library boards have had longstanding vacancies, with counties having trouble recruiting local library board members to participate. The department believes that it would be more productive and beneficial for the library and archives to eliminate these statutory regional library boards and simply meet regularly with the chairpersons of the local libraries.
You've heard the sponsor's explanation. Are there questions? Seeing none, we're voting on House Bill 404, moving on to calendar and rules. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 404 will next be seen in calendar and rules. Thank you, Representative Carringer.
Thank you. And you'll like this also because it's going to save us about $8,000 or so a year. So
We like all those pennies we can get. Next, you have another bill, item number 11, House Bill 469. We have a motion and a second. Can you share with us about this legislation?
thank you, Madam Chair and members. This is House Bill 469 that was brought to me by the Tennessee Department of Treasury. Tennessee, the Treasury Department holds the state's unclaimed property and works to return property to its rightful owners. The bill amends current law to reflect that federal law was recently changed to move the required minimum distribution age from 70.5 to 72. The bill also clarifies that Roth IRAs and treated like tax-deferred retirement accounts for purposes of reporting to unclaimed property. So in summary, the Tennessee Department of Treasury has requested this bill to be carried this session in order to come in compliance with federal law and to additionally allow for more efficient processing of claims.
You've heard the sponsor's very thorough explanation. Questions? Seeing none, we're voting on House Bill 469. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 469 moves on to calendar and rules. Thank you,
Madam
Representative
Chair.
Cantor. Item 12 on our agenda is Representative Cooper. Representative Cooper, we have a motion and a second. So if you could just tell us what your bill does.
Thank you. Madam Chair and members. House Bill 165 authorizes community schools and community of schools to establish programs and combine multiple funding sources to make professional counseling services available in incarcerated individuals within the state. And with that,
You've heard the sponsor's explanation. Are there questions of Representative Cooper? Questions been called on the bill? Any objections? Seeing none, we're voting on House Bill 165. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Representative Cooper, your bill moves on to calendar and rules.
thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee.
Item 13 on our calendar is House Bill 1114 by Representative Leatherwood. We have a motion and a second.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Lady and Committee. This bill, House Bill 1114, it authorizes our state agencies to provide child care services for state employees within our agencies, and the legislation is permissive.
Any questions? Question has been called on the bill. All those in, any objection to the question? Seeing none. All those in favor of House Bill 1114, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 1114 moves on to calendar and rules, and I too think this is a good idea.
Thank you. Thank you.
Item number 14 on our calendars by Representative Smith, who's been waiting patiently. Or she's been waiting. We have a motion and a second.
Thanks, Chairman.
And please share with us what House Bill 145 would do.
Absolutely. House Bill 145 will task the Department of Commerce and Insurance to create a parallel reporting and complaint process that currently exists for health insurance policies for life, auto, and other insurance policies. But this is for pharmacy benefit managers. More and more, all the pharmacy benefits are under a licensed entity, pharmacy benefit managers, which are governed and licensed by the state. This sets up a complaint and review process. And with that, Madam Chairman, I'll be happy to stand for questions.
Are there questions of the sponsor? And this would be a consumer complaint process, is that correct?
It is a consumer complaint process. It does permit, however, if an independent pharmacy does have a complaint, it permits that provider to issue a complaint as well. In the space of healthcare policy, it allows providers to issue complaints as well.
All right, Representative Sparks, I believe you have a question?
Yeah, member, I appreciate your passion about PBMs and trying to lower drug costs. Wanted to ask, is the gag order still in place on the pharmacist? The gag order where they can't talk about generics, is that still in place? I couldn't remember if that's been taken off before.
Representative Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And to my colleagues, this is absolutely way outside of this particular bill, but there is a provision that this General Assembly has prohibited pharmacy benefit managers from talking or prohibiting them from talking. So you do not have a gag clause in place.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Leader Camper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative, does this bill have any reporting mechanisms in it back to us or to the Clerks.
Representative Smith?
Madam Chairman, thank you. It authorizes the department to report on an annual basis every January.
And those reports will be available to the public, I'm assuming.
Yes, Madam Chairman.
Other questions? Seeing none. Ready to vote on House Bill 145. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 145 moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Madam Chairman and committee.
Thank you, Representative Smith. Item number 15 on our calendar is by our very own Representative Garrett. We have a motion and a second. House Bill 1186, Representative Garrett, what does it do?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This legislation is the trust legislation I ran last year that actually passed unanimously on the House floor. The only minor changes we did is that if you have a trust from a different state and you want to move it here, there is a mechanism that you can file that trust with the Secretary of State to make sure the laws of Tennessee apply to that trust. So the fiscal note is a positive one because there'll be a fee charged to that. So with that, I'll be happy to take any questions regarding this legislation. Otherwise, I renew my motion.
Any questions? I hear lots of good bill comments, so I'm assuming that we're ready to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? House Bill 1186 moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee.
Next on our list is our able Vice Chairman, Chairman Vaughn. House Bill 1172, we have a motion and a second. Chairman Vaughn, please let us know what you're doing with House Bill 1172.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The 2006 County Powers Relief Act allows fast-growing counties to charge a $1 per square foot adequate facilities tax. This can be used to fund things like new schools. What this bill does is it advances in time when that tax is paid. Under this bill, half of the tax would be paid at the application of building permit, and the other half would be paid at the certificate of occupancy. Currently, it's all paid on the back end, typically at the transfer of title.
You've heard the explanation. Are there questions? Seeing none, we're voting on House Bill 1172. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 1172 moves on to calendar and rules. Oh, I'm sorry. The next item on our calendar, House Bill 1038, has been taken off notice. House Bill 1038 is off notice.
Okay, members, item number 18 on our calendar is House Bill 652 by Chair Lady Hazelwood. We've got a motion and a second. Chair Lady Hazelwood, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This legislation removes some outdated requirements of cash basis for budgeting, and it will result in uniform budget requirements that align with generally accepted accounting practices for all local governments, particularly utility districts and utility authorities. It provides better financial management to utility districts by requiring the comptroller to approve of their budget rather than just review. And hopefully this will help some of, particularly our smaller utility districts that sometimes have financial issues. Hopefully this will help them address those issues on the front end rather than run into trouble. It also removes the outdated provision that required the comptroller's office to publicly shame a utility who didn't perform well with a publication in a local newspaper or a local newspaper. And last but not least, it allows the comptroller's office to provide budget guidance to local government. So again, I think this bill is important, but even more so as we know that our local governments are about to receive a lot of money from the feds. So I think they're going to be relying on our comptroller, and this will help make sure that local governments are able to spend that well. So with that, I would renew my motion.
Thank you for that explanation, Madam Chair, and we do have a question from Leader Lamberth.
Move previous question.
Any objections? Previous question's been called. Any objection? Okay, if not, then we are voting on sending House Bill 652 to calendar and rules. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Bill moves to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. That does complete our calendar for today. Do we have any further business coming before the committee? Seeing none, we stand adjourned.
Oh, yeah. Which one?
There's these.